This is Quantum Flow Radio, organizing thought particles into a flow of collective consciousness.
Okay, I'm going to start this one. Who are you? It's a big question. Who are you? I mean, really, who are you? I mean, what makes you you?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you because you're right in front of me. But I could be talking to everybody out there.
Right.
The question today, we're going to talk about who are you, what makes you you, and like
Us.
Yeah, when you look in the mirror, what do you see?
Yeah. And what's the purpose of the mirror, really? It's to reflect back.
It's to see if your makeup's on straight.
Of course. And also to reflect back what your image might be.
I don't wear makeup. But...
Well, yeah, but you could.
I could if I wanted to. I'd have.
You already look good anyway.
Well,
you don't
thank
need
you.
the makeup.
Yeah.
So when you look in the mirror, its purpose is just to show you what you look like.
Right. But the mirror is important because that's the one chance or any type of reflection of ourselves. But really, this is a deep question. The who really, they were ahead of their time maybe in asking this philosophical question. Maybe they were behind the times. But the thing is that they asked it maybe at the precise moment. Who are you? What makes you you? How do you know that's you? I mean, is it your face? I mean, what makes you you? Or is it your name? What do you like to do? What do you love to do? Does that make you? Does what you do actually define you? I mean, what defines you? Are you good? Are you bad? What's behind? What's the sponsoring thought? Are you a man? Are you a woman? What gender are you? Does it even matter? Or what gender do you think you are? I mean, that's a question. I mean,
Sure.
Sometimes people are stuck in a body that they don't feel at home with.
Right.
Nothing wrong with it.
For many reasons.
We're being open-minded again,
Yep.
But the question is, what makes you you? What makes you tick?
Yep.
And how do you know that's you and what you stand for? Really, that's the other part of it.
Yeah, and an interesting question in many ways, because when we ask, who do you think you are? See, so we really have to look at what you is. I mean, even scripturally, many people through the years, Jesus even said, who do you think I am? Who do they say I am? You
Right.
see? So everyone's looking for identity and how we relate to that identity.
Yeah.
So we have to sort of think about first, what is you?
Right.
And
how do people recognize you as being you and not confuse you?
Right.
The amazing thing is, you've ever heard this, you look just like a friend of mine or this guy, you know? It seems like everybody has a twin.
Yeah, a doppelganger.
Go Google your name. And unless your name is Gormenes Achilles Adamantiadis, who is a dear friend of mine, who probably only had that name, but maybe not.
Yeah.
But John Smith has got a long list of John Smiths to go through.
Sure.
Is that really you? Is your license, your driver's license, is that you? Meaning, they ask, I need identification. You just can't just point to yourself. They require you to hand over something. It's a plastic card, has a picture of you, has your name in all capitals. Very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
All capitals.
Boy, that's a whole other show, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's part of this show. It's the straw you.
Okay.
But that's kind of like the government you.
Yeah.
Does your social security number, is that number you?
Yeah.
Or is that somebody else?
And who said it was you? And who says it's someone else?
Well,
it comes
laws
from
say it's you.
authority.
Yeah.
But there's authority out there that we've not granted, yet they've taken
Right.
authority. So these people that say, who are you? Don't even know who you are.
But the reason we're asking all these questions, and that was a lot of questions, and maybe you thought about it as you listen, but the point here is, it's easy to say, I'm me, but we want to take it to another level here. The true philosophical level of who you are and what you stand for. Think about it. What do you do each day? How are you contributing to the universe?
Yes.
Are you happy? Are you doing what you like? When you look at yourself, do you smile? Or do you see things that maybe you don't like? When you look at other people, do you see things in them that perhaps you don't like, that maybe is a reflection of you, things that you don't like within yourself? This is this can really turn onto a serious tone here.
Sure.
Maybe we get back and lighten it up a little bit, but the fact here is, wow. I mean, this is a tough question, because I really believe most people, when you say, "Where are you?"
Yeah.
Well, I'm here. Okay. Well, point to yourself. Okay. So I'm looking at you. Point to yourself. Just okay. Where are you? You're okay. So you pointed a couple different places, not too low. So you pointed. I saw you pointed to your heart. You
Sure.
pointed to your head.
Yeah.
You might even point to your eyes.
Yeah.
Where are you in that? Is that really you?
Well, yes and no, because we have to
Do tell.
investigate a little bit further to decide. Because the seat of the soul, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
that me is within the heart chakra. It is within this whole solar plexus area. The ego me
Mm-hmm.
would be pointing up higher into my brain and my thought processes of what's going on there. Okay. And we have to find a common denominator between the two and say, okay, well, look, how can these two coexist? And how can we define who they are? Because our whole life we've just been hearing about, well, you're this and you're that, and we carry all these labels that people have placed on us.
You're smart. You're dumb. You're
Right.
old. You're young. You're
Yeah.
tall. You're short.
Exactly. You can't do that. You can do this. You can. It all starts with you. Yet when we introduced ourselves to people, we say, "I am. I
Right.
am Mike. I am Jerry. I am Diane."
Right.
And it's that I am that is key to discovery of who you and I are.
I am what I am.
Yes.
Famously quoted.
Yeah. And what Genesis says, Moses speaking to God in the high place, in the mountain, which is a higher consciousness. That's what that stands for metaphysically. Asks him, "Who are you? Who should I say sent me?" And God says, "I am that I am."
Right.
This is translated from Hebrew and Greek, and there's some, iffy places, but in essence, it really is stating, "I am that I am."
And not to get off track, but fast forward to a wonderful documentary, which I'd seen and you'd seen, and you told me to watch it. I'm like, hey, buddy, I already beat you to the punch. But I Am by Shadyac.
Yes.
I forget his first
Shady
name.
Acres Films, and it's, his father was Dick Shadyac. This would be...
Who actually lived, I think, near Virginia somewhere.
Yeah,
they're from.
exactly, and is now in California.
Okay.
And after having a horrible accident while on his bicycle.
It was a bicycle
one day
accident.
left
But
him,
this was a brilliant
questioning things.
film director who worked with the likes of Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Did movies like Yes Man and Pet Detective and a whole host
Bruce
of
Almighty and, all
big,
this stuff.
big
Yeah.
budget movies.
Yeah.
He was the director.
Liar, liar.
Right.
Yeah. Not you, but the movie.
No. Well, you'll determine what I'm saying,
Right?
whether I'm telling truth or not.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell truth.
Yes.
Because I think truth resonates at the highest vibration. I feel like when I tell lies or when I told lies in the past, that left a karma imprint on me.
And you get that icky
It's like,
feeling.
Exactly. It's icky. That's a perfect word. I hate, but that's...
It's technical.
It's very technical. It's high. Yep, we will always throw out the best word to describe things because we are
always,
words guys.
And did you ever notice that we always hide when we get that icky thing?
Yeah.
When we say something, we sort of kind of step back. I remember, when you're a kid. And maybe mom makes a batch of cookies and says, "Hey, I got company coming over tonight. Don't touch a cookie, right?" And she counts them, and so she runs off to the store, and you're thinking, "Oh man, those cookies look so good, right?" And so you snatch one, But to avoid lying, because you know she's going to ask you if you took a cookie, to avoid lying, when she comes back from the store, all the kids are out in the backyard playing or running around, and nobody's anywhere near the cookies because that's guilt,
Right.
You know? And nobody wants that feeling. You know, when I say something that I know perhaps isn't maybe a half truth, I do get that warning sign. You know, that within that still small voice that says, "Hey, straighten up."
Yeah. And speaking of not feeling well, Tom Shadyac didn't feel very well when he fell off his bike.
Right.
He went to the hospital, and he had a long recovery time period, but he had a lot of time to lay there and think about things.
Yeah.
You know, thinking, it's this thing that you kind of do when you're alone.
Right.
And everything else is turned off.
Right.
Something we should do every day.
Yeah.
So he got to thinking about who he was. Who am I? What's my purpose
in relation to the whole?
Yeah. Well, you know, obviously it's easy to ask the question after you've, you know, made a lot of money and you have had fame and fortune. But it's refreshing to see somebody of his, you know, qualifications to ask that question and then kind of shelve all that movie stuff and make a serious documentary about life.
And know how to do it, because all that movie stuff set him up for this.
Well,
this
yeah,
moment.
Yeah. And he really has something beautiful to share because he's been through it.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you share your experiences, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're famous or not. We're regular guys, but we share our experiences because they're universal.
Yes.
They're expressions of what everybody goes through. We're not any different. You know, who are we? But the fact is that a lot of Tom Shadyac's conscious awareness, I think, rubbed off on to Carrey.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey, who is going through some weird times.
He's traveling, man. He's on a journey.
He's on a journey.
Yep.
I'm not sure if he's. I know he's getting some of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and judge him because, you know, he's on his own journey.
Sure.
And it's tough to completely go to that, you know, guru conscious state.
Yeah,
because
we all have our own personal truths that ring with us.
He's got to have a foot still planted, I guess, in Hollywood. I don't know. The point here is, hey, it can come to everybody. It doesn't matter who you are.
Right.
But people are waking up.
Right.
And
you're exactly right, though.
Yeah.
That's important, that it can come to everybody. Look at Russell Brand, for example.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, comedian,
right.
prophet. You know? I mean, you know, it doesn't matter.
He comes with a lot of stuff with baggage with him. Kind of like I call him a dirty prophet.
Yeah.
He's like he's kind of coming up from the ground.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And it's good though, because that sheds some light into other people's lives that perhaps may not have listened to someone else.
Right.
But they will listen to a Russell Brand. Some people will listen to a Jim Carrey where they wouldn't listen to, you know, an Eckhart Tolle. Some people might listen to, you know, it's good as long as it gets people churning and
thinking,
reaching inside to see what gels with them.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, a complacent person is a stagnant person. And you can come back a year or two from now and ask them, hey, what's new? Nothing.
Yeah.
You've heard this.
Yeah.
Nothing. How's the job? It's the same.
Yeah, so,
Wife okay?
yeah.
I think so. That's not a good response.
I don't know.
Yeah, you should check in
hold
with her.
on, let me text her.
How are the kids? How many do you have? Let me count. Let's see. There's Jimmy. There's John. No.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
And
so,
how old are they? That's the trick.
Oh,
question.
most guys.
Hamina. You know, where you're going with this thing is it's important. And I just wanted to run one thing by you that I think.
Do tell.
Yeah, that is just really important for us to understand. You know, there are things that we can see and things that we can't see, okay? We can't see molecules, atoms, quarks, neurons, electrons, protons. These things are all what binds things together, right?
Right.
And but we can't see them, and they're there. But the important thing is that we understand that collectively, all of us, everything, every item, every anything in this universe is all part of one organism. And you know, we've said this before, but what we call the universe it means the entire cosmos. This is literally from every dictionary that you can look up. It is the totality of all things joined together, all in one, entire and whole, or holy, where we get the word from. See, so even though we may feel that we are separate from each other,
Separate, alone,
yes,
that we're an individual.
yes, that
When we ask who you are,
right, we're not.
No.
We're each of us is a drop of the ocean, but that drop contains all that the ocean is. So,
But
the elements that make up all this stuff are not physical elements.
no. And
Everything is basically energy.
if for people to come to this conclusion, it's one of the toughest roads to walk.
It is. It's very difficult.
To understand that you are not alone,
No.
that you're not separate, you're connected. You're connected at the highest level of consciousness, and the fact is, we operate individually pretty much for our experiences here, but it is a collective experience. It's the collective consciousness of all, and some say or call it God,
Right.
or the prime creator, or
Or source
energy,
archetype, or
Right.
the great architect, or whatever it might be.
We've covered that stuff, but
Intelligence.
for some,
Yeah, for some.
hopefully there's a little in this room. The interesting thing here is, I came up with something.
Yeah.
I thought about this question: who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, and I've asked several people over the last couple of days just to see what they would say. Interesting.
Yeah.
Little process here.
Man in the street kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not the type of thing you're going to win any awards for asking this question. Most people don't know. Most people, when you ask where are you, they'll point till their head or their heart, but they may not really be there.
No.
That's your skin encapsulated bag that's walking around, that's holding your consciousness, or it's the conduit.
Right.
To this reality.
Right.
And
Package.
you're welcome to believe anything you want. We're here just to spark that little bit of interest of to answer this question. I mean, it's a question. We toss it around, but I did come up with this really interesting. It's not so much a theory, but it's just kind of like a play on who you are or who we are. I call it the trifecta of fame. What makes a person famous or notable? Or how do you know somebody that you don't know personally? Well, I came up with 3 things. First, their name. If you recognize their name, they're probably famous. Maybe not ultra famous, but you've heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you recognize their face, it's another level. Obviously, hearing their name and seeing their name, you're using some of your visual and senses. When you see their face, you're using your visual senses, obviously. So you recognize somebody in the news, a famous person. And then the last thing is, very interesting, their voice. That's a trifecta. If you can recognize somebody's voice, you know their name, and you recognize their face, I would classify them as famous. Famous to the point where they're, common, household type name. What's interesting is there's a lot of people in this world that are only famous in certain categories, like a singer. You may not know what they look like. You may not even know their name.
Yeah.
I could use any singer, for example, but it could be, name a singer from a band. I know it's so difficult. I was struggling too.
Let's go with.
I don't want to say the wrong.
Yeah, let's go with Elvis.
Elvis. Okay, well that's a great example because
Because
as soon as the music comes
everybody
on,
knows Elvis.
well, as soon as the music comes on, you know his music.
Yeah.
You know his face and you know his name. In fact, he's so famous you don't even need to use his last name. That's how famous he is.
Right.
If I just said Elvis,
Yep.
you
Cher.
know what I'm talking
Same
about.
thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Madonna.
Yep.
Bam. J-Lo, some people may recognize her voice, right? especially if she's not singing. You may not
Yeah,
know
especially
that's her.
Fans
Yeah.
would.
But if Elvis was just talking on the radio or whatever, you heard him, more than likely it's a recording, unless he's back.
Right.
You might have heard it before. So there was a familiarity there. Maybe it's not apples to apples, but for sake of argument, J-Lo, most people would recognize her face.
Yeah.
Beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Certainly recognize her name,
Ageless.
J-Lo.
Yeah.
Most people don't even know probably her real name.
Yeah, by now, it's just J-Lo.
Yeah.
But back then it was Jennifer Lopez. But understanding everything you're saying.
She has a different last
fascinating.
name now, doesn't she?
I don't know. I've lost track. So everything you're saying is absolutely true. And the interesting part about it is the things that you bring up, the facial recognition, the voice.
Right.
These are at times exaggerated.
Yeah.
So, for example, you see Elvis, and boom, here's a guy with black hair and blue eyes. See, and then he opens his mouth, and not only do you hear that
He didn't really have black hair, by the way.
he was dyeing it.
He dyed it from the age of 17.
Yeah,
He had very light brown hair.
really.
Yep, and
How
you
about
never
that?
knew that his whole life. He dyed it black. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I didn't know Elvis, and I wasn't in his
you weren't there,
bathroom. And
yeah.
luckily, I wasn't in the bathroom at
Yeah,
the
that
end. there.
bathroom, yeah.
Not that bad.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Boy, but the point here is this is what I've heard. Hey, so
Yeah.
we throw all this information out, whether it's truthful or not. But there's my caveat.
Yeah, and
you're saying,
and his voice.
Yeah.
There was such a rich texture to it.
yeah.
Forget the the Southern accent and all that, but just the clarity and it was a voice that commanded the mask, his face. It just used everything.
But it's not just music. I mean, you could take a president or somebody, very recognizable voice.
Yep.
You've seen their face, you know their name, bam.
Yeah.
Okay. So this kind of brings us back to who you are.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's different maybe levels of who you are or who you aren't.
Yes.
Okay. So bear with me. I would say that most people are not famous for any of these things. Their name,
Right.
their face recognition,
Mhm.
certainly not their voice. That's a rarity.
Yeah.
But there's a certain, I don't know if it's insecurity, but nowadays people are seeking to be famous. They want to put who they are out there.
Mhm.
For some reason, maybe because they feel that they're not complete. Maybe they feel alone. Maybe they don't understand the oneness, the one consciousness, the collective consciousness that is going on. Because as I go through life, I kind of have deviated. I've really kind of gone sideways. I used to think I really wanted to be in the limelight. And yeah, sure, it's fun and everything. But the fact, it comes with some baggage and everything. But I'm trying to figure out who I am. What do I stand for? And a lot of people go through what I call minor celebrityism. It's where they want to be something, but maybe they're not.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll never be.
Right.
And it's an illusion.
It's an
When they-
illusion because they already are.
Exactly. And when they finally get there, they realize, you know what? I'm the same dumb schmuck that I was before.
Right.
Can I say
just might
schmuck?
have. Yeah, I think so. I just might have a little more money, some
Well,
more clothes,
Yeah.
a little more fame.
Yeah. But happiness is certainly from inside. So
Yeah.
who you are is relative to really,
Your inner joy.
really, you're what makes you tick.
Yeah.
Because we all have to get up each day.
Yeah.
If you want to lie in bed, be lazy, not eat,
Yeah.
and just wither away, you certainly could do that. You're probably going to affect some people and some collateral damage. Nobody wants to see a person just completely give up hope.
Yeah.
So there's an inner drive. This is your ego. We've discussed this. We had a conversation where some people say, well, you don't need your ego at all. I would disagree. I'd say that's kind of like what gets you going. And that kind of makes you you.
Yeah, and it really is clearly connected to who or what you think ego is.
Right.
See,
Yeah.
and same thing when you have discussions about God or source. You really have to establish with the person or persons that you're talking to what their concept of God is before you can go any further.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just going to be lost.
Right. And this is a good point where we can really dig down to the question of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask people, who you are, they'll say, well, I'm John, I'm Mary. Point to yourself, they'll point to their heart, they'll point to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really there?
Yeah.
Is that real? Is this an illusion?
Yeah.
I guess the greater question is, some people that have come to this awareness, when they're asked who you are, they go, I am what I am.
Right.
And it sounds like a play on words, but in effect, maybe we can't answer the question of who you are because it takes on so many different realms. But we're going to attempt to do that.
Yeah. Remember, a lot of times people will look without. They'll look
Sure.
outside
Oh, yeah.
to see who they are.
Yeah. Well,
When really it's more important to look within.
more times they are looking over there when they should be looking here.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is when you look in the mirror, more times you look at yourself.
Yeah.
So one of the few times you really do look at yourself.
Yeah.
Some people don't like what they see. It's amazing. Some people will look in the mirror and they'll say, "Oh, you know what? I look pretty good for my age," or I like this. But it's usually not a superficial thing. Superficially for the first second or two, but then they look at the person beyond, deep inside, and they go, it's kind of like an inner question. Do I like what I see?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't because they're conflicted. They want to be a good person. They want to try real hard. They want to be the best, kindest person. But soon as they step out of their house, they switch on.
Yeah. Go back to the familiar.
Yeah.
Well, you're looking in the mirror and somebody walks in on you. You're talking to yourself in the mirror and somebody walks in on you, and the first thing you're going to say is, "Who are you talking to?" And you're going to say, "Well, myself." Well, who is that? Goes back to, who are you?
See, I'd probably say nobody because I don't know. I'm still searching for myself. But here's the clever thing.
Yeah.
On the deepest level, you could ask somebody, "Who are you?"
Mm.
And some people say, "Well, I'm Christ."
Mm-hmm.
And I've had that response.
Sure.
And I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
It's not a bad response, and it's certainly not blasphemy.
No, because you first must know what the Christ is.
Yeah. I mean, the person didn't say I'm God.
No.
They didn't say I'm Jesus. But in some realm, I mean, in my reality, I think there's truth to that.
Sure.
Isn't there?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We are all. We're all connected to Source. We are all offspring of.
So
Source.
what is the source? The source is
Source. What we would call God.
Right.
What we would call the origin of all things. The grand designer of this thing that we're riding around on.
But if I sat here and said I'm God,
Mm-hmm.
most people would look at me and say, "No, you're not."
Right.
But maybe again, think about it.
Source energy.
I'm letting you think.
I am thinking source energy, like what we're saying. Okay. Is we're told this I am that we've been talking about. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already mentioned that when we introduce ourselves to someone, we say I am David or whoever it is. Right. By doing this, we are acknowledging our own inner divinity and the individualized essence or that particle, that spark of the divine.
Right.
Where we came from. All of us. See, our parents named us. But in truth, we are as God is. I am, while being David or Janice, whoever it might be. So looking at all of that, and we look down the list of all of the people that have tried to explain who it is we are and why are we here and all of that stuff. And we've already talked about the fact that all things are one. So what the problem today, I believe, is that not enough people recognize or accept that they are each other and that we are intrinsically connected to each other.
So let's take this a slightly different direction
Mm-hmm.
from the same foundation. Some people think they came here and they are here
Mm-hmm.
as light workers.
Right.
Some people think they're Pleiadians.
Yep.
The Pleiades.
Yep.
Some people think that they're star childs.
Sure. The sons of light supposedly established Atlantis.
And then you can go on and on and on. And philosophers have, talked about this and debated this. At least anybody with some curiosity has brought this the attention to this question.
Yeah.
But some people think, like, when you ask, who are you? Well, I'm not of this earth. This is all an illusion.
Mhm.
I am here from a higher spectrum. I came here, I incarnated, and I'm here for a purpose.
Yeah.
And so when you ask, who are you? The purpose is almost who you are.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're David or Jim, and that you're white or black and you have a mustache or a beard, or
Insignificant.
you're a woman with blonde hair is insignificant.
Completely.
That's how people may recognize you, but that may not be really who you are. In fact, I think in so many ways we hide ourselves. A lot of people might be listening to this at work, or you're driving in your car, or you're doing something, but you're faking it right now. You're not being true to yourself.
Right.
You're really not who you really are or want to be. Of course, we can't all run naked through the woods.
Right.
Sounds like fun.
Right. But we can, but there will be consequences.
Yeah, there's consequences. Yeah.
Bugs and police. And things
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, yeah, but
Where to-
again, what we're doing when we're in that car, we're stuck in traffic, we're driving to work, or we're at work and we're servicing people, whatever it is we're doing, we are in a role,
We're playing
the part.
character.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are actors.
It's not
in
you.
In fact,
It is you, but it's not you.
right. The soul, the personality. Okay, that we are. Personality comes from the Latin word persona, which literally means the mask of an actor. So each of us, our personality is the mask of an actor. It isn't who we really are. Who we really are is a projection from the unseen realm into this. You talked about the Earth. We happen to name the Earth, this planet, Earth, but literally it simply means matter. So, we have incarnated into this matter, which is energy, okay? We just think it's hard and concrete and all that. And so we I don't want to use the word wrongly, but we sometimes mistakenly
Yeah, I know where you're going.
see our physical presence as who we are.
Yeah, and a lot of times we don't even see that clearly. We judge ourselves very harshly.
Yeah.
And-
Disappointed in this, disappointed
Yeah,
in that.
yeah.
I wish I was this, I wish I was taller,
And
I
if
wish I
you
had all
only
these.
if you only knew the secret to understanding, you can literally change your body.
Yeah.
One cell at a time.
Yeah.
With thoughtful, conscious thinking.
Right.
And yeah, you go, well, that does,
It doesn't happen overnight.
no. In fact,
You
to learn this and actually implement it, it could be years. But the thing is, if you really want to be thin,
Yeah.
you can be, well, not thin, but if you just want to be regular weight and you want to lose weight,
Yeah.
but don't have to exercise it out of your body, you can actually mentally do this. And through conscious awareness, somehow you'll be directed to the right food.
Right.
You'll do the right exercise. It's your subconscious that's working. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, absolutely.
The-
and this is true for all things.
Absolutely, you're manifesting
Right. The power
who
that
you are.
built you in your mother's womb is the same power that you can call upon for all of these desires that you might have.
Right. So, there's been some philosophers through time, and we've discussed how, some philosophers kind of contradict themselves because I think they've come to the long-standing conclusion that to define who you are, it takes on such a vast meaning. So they just simplify it and say, okay, well, universally, and like Rene Descartes, he kind of came up with, I think, therefore I am.
Yeah.
And somehow he's famous for that.
But in a way, the deeper concept there is it's brilliant.
It is. And you know what's amazing is he's the first one maybe to come up with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of other
Gets all the
philosophers
credit.
are kicking themselves saying, he got that.
Yeah.
So now I've got to do a longer sentence, and it's just not going to flow as well.
No.
Or, so I
It's
think,
melodic.
therefore I am. And it's almost, you can, really beautiful things, you can invert them.
Yeah.
I am, therefore I think.
Yeah.
See how that works?
Sure.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
So as simplistic and as maybe dumbed down as it may seem, it's
Yeah.
brilliant on one of the greatest levels. Not that I'm a huge fan of his, but he has a place in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And just let me throw this out
Sure.
you real quick, since we're on this subject. In the Book of Hermes, I ran across this statement the other day because I love reading, all this stuff. In the Book of Hermes, it says, "The light is me," says Pymander. Okay, the divine thought. I am the nous, which is a Greek word for mind. Okay, I am the nous, or intelligence, and I am thy God. And I am far older than the human principle which escapes from the shadow. I am the germ of thought, the resplendent word, the Son of God. This is from the Book of Hermes,
Wow.
thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
And so when we
Good insight.
and when we look at that, it's fascinating because there was no internet back then. You couldn't Google stuff. They barely had parchments and scrolls, and it's just after hieroglyphs. Yet this was a time when thought was in a very good direction, and enlightenment was around every corner, and we were imbibed with this drive, this ambition to truly
Thirst
for
for knowledge.
to discover who it is we are, which is the question at hand. And why we're here,
Right.
and what we're supposed to do while we're here.
So now I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Who are you?
Who the hell are you?
Who are you?
Yeah. I am you.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Suppose-
funny.
Hey, let's put the question this way:
Okay.
You are you, instead of who are you?
Mhm.
You are you. I am you. I'm hearing the Walrus by the Beatles here. Are you hearing it?
Yeah.
Okay, so-
I know how they wrote it now.
Yeah.
they got
so
stoned and
right.
confused.
So to try to answer that question, I would have to say that I am all that is. I am an eternal essence of the source, living through me, with me, as me, experiencing life in a material or physical realm, when spirit cannot do that unless it does it through us.
Who do you want to be?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I
Good.
am. I'm
That's
good
nice.
with that. I would just there are things that I'd want to do,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as discovering who I am
Right.
and who I would want to be, I think and I may have mentioned this in a previous show, but there's a doctor who deals with kids and children. Shefali Tsabari is her name, and she warns parents not to ask their kids what they want to be when they grow up. In fact, reinforce that they already are something.
Yeah.
So
That is a horrible question. What do you want to be when you get older?
right. And
what are
what
you
a
right now?
burden it places on us.
Yeah.
Because if you're not something, you end up getting screwed up. It's like, well, what do I want to do? And then you change your major, and then you don't want to go to college, and you do, and and it's just this battle that continues to rage within you. When the truth is that you already are someone.
But
and something.
finding out who you are or remembering who you are is one of the toughest things, because we hide, we shelter who we
do.
really are. We're scared, in all honesty, really, to be that person who we really are deep down inside.
There's a big responsibility that comes with it.
It is, and we have to play the game of life. And when I mean that is, there's a reality to this. We're not just hanging out on clouds, thinking about cool thoughts all day. There's a reality to this. We have to be places. We have to do things. We have responsibilities. People are dependent on us, and we can't just be loosey-goosey. We have to be almost we have to be rock solid in certain situations because people and things depend on us.
Right.
And so in those situations, it's very tough to be who you are. But I've been told, be good.
Yeah.
Simply,
Yeah.
be a good person.
Good.
When you say who you are you good? Is when somebody asks you something, are you okay with that to go along and contribute and help, or do you put up walls and defensive mechanisms that shut you down?
Yeah.
You know, do you go with the flow?
Yeah.
Quantum flow.
Yes.
The Q. And that kind of brings me up to this. I mean, when I ask, who you are, purposefully, we don't tell you who we are. It's almost irrelevant. And it's a little bit of a game. Yeah, we play with you, but really it matters not who we are. The information we have is through life experience. For all you know, I could be a very, very famous person. You might know my name.
Right.
You might know my face.
Right.
In fact, you might know my voice from different places.
Right.
So, but I come from many different facets, but who I am is really irrelevant. If I need validation, my validation's through my words.
Sure.
And through our interaction here and the things we say.
Yep.
If
And
you like it,
that person who's listening,
right?
it's more important to them who they are.
Exactly. See, when we ask the question, we're not going to sit here all day and say how great we are.
Right.
That's fame. That's ego.
Yeah.
And that's why I
Unless,
talked about the
unless you
trifecta.
want to tell me how great I am.
Well, no, you
I'll
are
kick
great.
back for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. Well, you know what? That's for your friends and family to tell you.
Yeah.
The validation of
Or some of them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's nice to get somebody to acknowledge how kind you are. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
It makes the world go round.
Right.
Thanking anybody for anything is energy flow.
Yeah. And when we're not thanked, it's disturbing.
Yes.
You're driving through town and you wave your hand for that car to go in front of you and it just pulls out and they don't say thank you and you're like, hey.
Yeah.
So you say thank you for them,
Well, you say no thank you.
right? Yeah. And what began as a kind gesture
Right.
perhaps might end up as another gesture.
Yeah.
But the bottom
with the
line
hand,
is,
but not the whole hand.
yeah, but the bottom line is we know, literally going back to what you said about good, we know what's good and what's ungood.
Well, how do you know?
It was instilled in us.
Of course.
By the
But,
grand design.
Yeah. I want everyone to know that it's a self. It's brought up through you.
Yeah.
It's only you.
Yeah.
And nobody else.
And
no one else can make you better, but maybe through example, and then you see how it's done.
Yeah, and when you shouldn't act upon something.
Right.
Okay? You
No.
just know.
And we're not going to be hypocritical here. Hey, are we the greatest people in the world, the kindest, the most generous?
Well, you are.
Well, we try to be. But to aspire to that level of excellence is very hard, but it's all in the attempt. God knows that you're trying, and God hopes you're trying.
Yes.
Because if you're trying, then you're growing.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, you're learning.
Yeah.
So,
And trying, people argue about that word. Well, trying really doesn't mean anything. It means either you do or you don't.
Well-
But what trying is a process. It means it's in motion. You're headed somewhere.
there's a word called succeeding.
Mhm.
You'll never succeed unless
You try. Right.
So one goes before the other. You can't succeed at anything
Yep.
unless you try.
Yeah.
And a lot of times
And it's small successes.
it's small successes, and the people that are really gifted, what are you known for? Is there a talent that you have
Yeah.
that people know you for?
Right.
Do they appreciate this talent? Is this a good talent?
Yeah.
Is it musical? Is it dance?
Yeah.
Is it artistry? Is it just pure intelligence? Maybe you're the best CPA at your firm,
Mhm.
or maybe you're the attorney at the firm that does a special type of law and nobody else does it.
Right.
Are you known? Does that define you? Is that you? Does Lisa, get all of this kind of work, and Jenny gets all this kind of work because this is what they're skilled at. So this is kind of like, this defines you. This is what people look at you. But again, that's not really you.
Yeah.
And some people would say, if you take this to the highest level, you're not really you at all. It's an illusion. You're not really, you're here, but you are a lot more than what you see in the mirror.
Yeah. You're the
What appears on your driver's license.
Yeah. You're the animating source behind what
You're
appears
it.
on the driver's license.
Let's just call it like it is.
Exactly.
You're it.
Yeah.
You're the source energy.
Alan Watts
Man,
called
you
it
are the
it, and that works for
right.
me.
You're the creator of everything you see.
Yeah.
And the little voice goes, "No, I'm not. I couldn't have possibly created that." But guess what?
Right.
Maybe you did.
Yeah.
And hear me out. I keep saying "hear me out." I don't know why I keep saying that. But
Well, because we're broadcasting.
yeah.
sort
Okay.
of.
Well, yeah. I guess I'm trying to make a point. I just don't want to push too hard.
Yeah, just not pinpoint.
This is an invitation. I want to invite. I like that.
Yeah.
Just consider this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That you really are the creator of all this. And what I mean by that, if you go back and, we've discussed how it's as simply as your mom and their dad, and you just keep going back and back and back.
Sure.
And eventually there was one guy and a girl or whatever.
Yeah.
Or thing. Yeah, who knows? Energy, alien, whatever. Always fun to talk about that. But is that really, is that really where you come from? Yeah, you come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a part of that, and everything has been created on a conscious level, then you are very much a part of the creation. So you did create all of this. There's no reason
we
to
are
think
all co-creators.
co-creators. That's a better
all things in
way
this
to
universe.
That's a better way to couch it. A co-creator, because you didn't just create this solely.
Yeah.
No, and we would never give you that much credit.
No,
or that much
especially
pressure.
Not me, please.
No, and that's a heavy weight to bear on your shoulders.
Don't. Yeah, I've already got enough stuff on my shoulders.
But we all are co-creating this reality.
Yes.
This, so you very may well be just a kind of an illusion, something that's a smaller part of a bigger, but yet can still be considered it.
It. Yes,
You're
an IT professional.
It's a little bit. Yeah, it's funny how that's taken on.
It has nothing to do with Stephen King either.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Or
cousin it.
Or cousin it. Yeah. I agree with you entirely. That really is.
Well, you
what it
shouldn't.
comes down to.
But if you want to,
Well, I
that's
do
your
on this.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're both seeing the truth in it.
Yeah. I'd like us to be more more confrontational sometimes, because then we can dig deeper.
Well, then we got to do another music show.
Oh, okay.
So I have a couple of quotes that I just wanted to put out.
Throw them out there, man.
Because
we're ready.
I think that they're powerful, they're deep, but I love them. Dr. Ernest Holmes writes, "The great I am, revealed to Moses as the one and only real mind or power in the universe, that beside which there is no other. I am is another way of saying God. So the I am in man is the life of man. Without this I am, man could not be." Now, Charles Fillmore said, "The I am is the metaphysical name of the spiritual self, as distinguished from human self. One is governed by spirit, the other by personal will. Christ and Jehovah are scriptural names for the spiritual I am. Jesus called it the Father. I am is eternal, without beginning or ending, the true spiritual man whom God made in his image and in his likeness." So something...
Who wrote that last
That
part?
was Charles Fillmore. Yeah, Charles Fillmore founded, and his wife Mildred founded Unity Church.
Unity Church, right?
Yeah, and when we look at these, I call truths, okay?
Yeah.
We look back at and lament. I love that word. We look back and say, did this happen or does it happen? So how do we apply these things in our life today? How do we accept responsibility for who we are once we find who we are? I believe that once we discover or remember, okay,
right,
who we really are, and that we are that divine spark. I'm not just this bag of skin that's walking around in cheap shoes. I am.
You're not a bag of bones.
No, I am the power, the animating source of this bag of skin, and I have a responsibility while I'm here.
But I want you to say it like you really believe it, and not like you're just reading off of something.
Yeah. This responsibility is at times overwhelming.
It is. Hey, it's a heavy load.
It is, but
I said it was going to be easy.
But you look at it and you say, so many people through the course of history have remembered that that responsibility. And it changes everything. I believe to a point where it might even be a rebirth of the soul at that moment. When you come to the conclusion and the acceptance that there is a spark of divinity within you.
I think it's your soul awakening
Right.
to the fact that, wow. And that comes as an aha moment. And one of the greatest moments was self-realization with me.
Yeah.
I'm personally, sharing that. The fact it's kind of hard to remember the exact moment because it kind of came in pieces and stages.
Waves.
But there was, waves. There was one moment where I had to catch my breath and go, wow. It all became like clear.
Yeah.
In an instant. Wow. Bam. And it was like clarity. Wow. You mean I am part of all of this?
Yes.
And that's an amazing accomplishment.
And not part of it, but all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's where we go with this. There has to be some level of taking care of yourself, and I'll use the term. There has to be some self-love.
Sure.
And that takes on several different types of meaning,
Yes,
but
it
we want
does.
to be very clear. In order to be a whole conscious person and to be able to love others, you have to love yourself.
You do, first and foremost.
You have to be comfortable with yourself because you'll never be able to extend out any part of yourself. If you send out damaged goods,
Yeah.
it does no good to anyone else, especially you.
Yeah.
Because it all will come back to you.
Yes.
And you understand that. Any enlightened person understands there's a flow of energy. It comes out and it comes back.
Yes.
Just like the waves of the sea.
Yeah.
And just like every type of movement that's natural in the universe.
Yeah.
It's a flow.
Everything.
And you're a part of it. So when you go with the flow, amazing things will appear.
Because the flow will return.
It's
the
always going to
amazing
be there.
things
It
that
never
you
goes
sent
away.
out.
And those people say, I missed it. Guess what? You missed nothing.
Yeah.
You missed
It's
nothing.
still
We
here.
all, and some people will always just looking back at the past and going, man, if only this happened. Guess what? They've just blocked themselves from having another encounter.
There is no greater time than now
Mm,
for anything.
right.
You can look back and reference. But if you say, well, I always wanted to, ride on an airplane, go get a ticket.
Well, that's a hard thing to do considering some of us don't like to fly. We've had experiences on planes.
Yeah, I don't like to fly.
That's
either.
probably
But
it's a
if you
really
wanna
bad example
fly-
since neither of us want to get on an
but
airplane.
If you really want to fly,
Yeah.
and you've never flown,
Oh, I've flown, but
You
I just
should.
That's one reason why probably my life career has been held back because I haven't
Won't
gotten.
fly.
Yeah, I just I choose to be at home, being a thinking person.
Mm-hmm.
When you fly, and this isn't a good example, you're distracted. You are never in the now moment. You're
Yeah.
always rushing to get somewhere, and you're on the plane for a reason because you have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Even if it's for pleasure.
Yeah.
You've
and
heard,
you have to go somewhere fast.
yeah, and you always hear about this. I just got back from vacation. I need another vacation because
Right.
the
Come back
travel was
exhausted.
yeah. And did you have a great time? Oh, it was great, and I saw some beautiful things, but I need another vacation.
Mhm.
See, I'd rather just go right to that
Staycation.
second vacation. That's where my mind is at now.
Right.
I've been so many different places. I've seen lots of things. I mean, let the
Yeah.
younger people go out and go to Paris and see if it's really there or not.
Yeah. Exactly.
But to get back to the self-love,
Yeah.
this is a hard thing to learn too. Self-love is you have to care about yourself. You have to take care of yourself. But the most beautiful thing that comes from caring and knowing who you are, and this gets right back to the very first thing we talked about.
Yeah.
When you look in the mirror and you see that person, you like that person. There's nothing about that person that offends you.
Yeah.
There's nothing about that person that you feel is going to harm the good within that person. Because we always deal with the duality of who we are,
Yep.
And lastly, we're at ease.
Yeah.
This is not something you do fast. It's not something complicated, and it's not necessarily written down in a cookbook. How do you self-love?
Mhm.
Well, you know what? It can be put on the clothes you like to wear.
Yeah.
Sometimes we
Regardless of what anyone thinks.
exactly. And let's be respectful here. I mean, I'm not, but if you like bell-bottom jeans, wear them.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what other people think
Yeah.
or judge you about.
Yeah.
Even if it's not in fashion,
Right.
which is a horrible thing. What is in fashion?
Right. Well, it's more programming.
Yeah, it's programming. So self-love. So eat food that you know that you like, but that takes care of you. If you're not eating and you don't like what you're eating, then you have a very hard time loving yourself. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So in the loving process, you're taking care of yourself.
And be kind to yourself.
Well, yeah. Let yourself go.
Yeah.
Be tolerant of yourself. And doesn't mean tolerant of bad behavior, but if you want to relax, if you want to go for a stroll, don't beat yourself up for that.
Yeah.
See, this is what you need.
Yeah.
You're taking care of yourself. You're taking moments for yourself. And if your spouse or your significant other, your partner, or your children or your parents say, you can't do that, don't do that, sometimes you just have to, because it makes you sane. It makes you get through that day and want to get to the next day. So, addictions aside,
Yeah.
and that addiction's covering a large category of many things. Take care of yourself and treat yourself and respect yourself, and understand that if you are it and you are the creator of a lot of everything that you see, you're important.
Yeah.
Not so important that you shouldn't, that you have to walk around with covered in, what's that, bubble wrap?
Yeah. Yeah. Fun stuff.
Experience life. If you really want to go on that jet plane, go.
Yeah.
Nothing's stopping you.
You won't see me there, but
No,
yeah, have a
no.
nice trip.
I guess, money kind of interplays into this too. But
Yeah.
money aside, the thing is you can be who you want. You can be whole, happy, full of love. The person that, the real you.
Yeah.
Be that person. And for every reason you come up with that says don't be, or you can't be, forget about that. Because that's the external forces working. The negative forces are all around you.
Yeah. And they're yelling at you. They're screaming at you. See, spirit will only whisper.
Right.
So listen to that still small voice within.
Yeah. Notice we're not yelling at you. We're talking to you.
Yeah.
We're not pointing fingers. We're inviting.
Yeah.
And that's how truth should come to you. Truth does not. You don't get hit over the head with truth.
No.
Not necessarily.
No, it's sneaky. It creeps up on you.
Well, it's packaged in different ways, but the real truth, when you hear it, it does amazing things to your body. What happens, it comes in and it reverberates. It makes you almost like goosebumps.
Yeah.
When you feel the real presence
that aha
of
moment.
Yeah. And your hair stands on end a little bit. But it's not a scary thing. It's a purely in the moment happy.
Right. But it's you remembering it. See? That's part of the chill and the shock of it.
Yeah.
It's the remembrance of it, And you talk about self-love and acceptance and things like that. It's really critical that we do that, because as people, as human beings and human becomings, we are here to serve. Okay, we are here to give. It's what we do. It's just automatic.
Right.
You drive past somebody, there's a car broken down, you stop and make sure they're okay. Or you help if you can. You see,
Right.
It's just built in, right?
Yeah.
So the important thing to remember is if our cup is empty, we can't fill somebody else's cup.
Good point.
So
I like
we
that.
have to make sure that we're filling our own cup.
Overflowing.
Yes.
Overflowing with whatever.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And then
because-
share that.
Yes, because if we're not, and we have to keep refilling.
But take care of yourself first.
Right.
You cannot help anybody else
Right.
in any situation unless you're centered, balanced, clear-headed, and have it.
Yep.
You have to have it to give it.
Yes.
If you don't have it,
Can't give it.
you can't give it. And
And
so
you
work
can't
on
get it
yourself.
back either.
No, because
If
it
you
will
don't
never
have it-
come from anywhere.
Right.
It's got to come from you. And if you want to make the world a better place, guess where it starts? with you. So don't start pointing at that guy over there and saying, "Hey, you, who
Yeah.
are you? What are you doing over there? You're disrupting all this."
Yeah.
Well, they may very well be, but they're over there for a reason.
Yeah.
Disrupting, it's a lesson.
Yes, it is.
Take care of yourself, and everything else will be kind of taken care of.
And they are a messenger. And you receive that message.
Right.
You know, we receive messages all the time.
Right.
You know, we've talked about this, you know, in expanded times, and we just have to pay more attention to it when we see it.
So at the end of the day, who are we? It's irrelevant. We're
Yep.
just two guys here talking. Maybe one day you'll find out.
Maybe.
It doesn't really matter.
No.
But hopefully this information we
What
share
does
with
matter is we know who we are.
Well, you know who you are. Yeah. And if you want to send us a whole bunch of money, guess what? Don't.
No, don't do it. No.
We're not one of these channels that, hey, I'm setting up a fund here or send, whatever. Yeah, maybe, we don't know what the future will bring. Maybe we'll sell T-shirts or something funny like that.
Yeah.
The point here is you know what to do with your money better than we do. The thing is that take care of yourself first.
Go open a Go
It's not a
Think Me
selfish
account.
thing at all. Have that bubble bath. Enjoy the now moment by putting you in that heightened, exuberant state. Does more for your body, does more for the environment, does more for the room, the energy in that room and the people around you than you could ever, ever, ever get from anywhere else. And it comes from you, and it stays with you if you want it to be. How's that?
Absolutely. That's
now
perfect.
I'm ranting a little bit.
No, but it's good because you see, I kind of look for guides, and I believe that in many ways you're a guide. I can be a guide.
Yeah.
And what happens is when we're lost, we ask a guide for directions.
Or we ask God, and the God brings the guide, and it can come in different form, or it can come directly to you.
Right, but the important thing is for her or for him or anyone else is first try and figure out where you are. See, because if you're lost and you ask for directions, the person that's going to guide you or give you directions is going to ask you, well, where are you?
Mm-hmm.
We have to know where you are. And it's from wherever you are that it begins. This is the new part of the next journey.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter how you've thought of things. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is where are you right now and what are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
And move forward and be good and do good things and do positive things. And whatever you act upon, make sure it isn't only a selfish nature,
Right.
that it's inclusive of everyone. And that no one is negatively impacted by whatever it is you're about to do.
Couldn't said it better myself. In fact, maybe I did.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read it somewhere. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe.
Well, I felt like I talked more. I consumed the conversation, but this was a topic that I is very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, vibes.
So I want to thank you
Thank you.
for helping me answer the question of who are you?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Have
It's
a
been enjoyable.
spectacular week. See you soon.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
You've been listening to Quantum Flow Radio. Email us online at quantumflowradio@gmail.com.